Hi everyone, I hope you did well in your last science test. Today I'm going to teach you about lesson 3. So get your workbooks ready and let's get into it. As you know, every lesson that we study in Inspire Science begins with an essential question. And the question this lesson has for us is, how can people help to slow or prevent changes to Earth's landscape? Well, that's the question we have, and we're going to together figure out the answer. Um, Before we do that, let's refresh our minds. We learn about two changes, quick and slow changes. The quick changes are earthquake, volcanoes, floods, landslides, and unfortunately, these are the changes we really can prevent from happening. We can't stop them from happening. There's someone who can. Can you think of that someone I'm thinking? Yes. Only God can stop it. Only God can prevent it. But guess what? God gave us a knowledge how we can prevent slow changes. And the slow change we can prevent is an erosion. As you know, erosion is when wind and water work together, and when they break off pieces of rocks, soil, or dirt, and they move it away, they take it to another place. So we're going to learn how we can prevent, how we can slow down this process of erosion. As you can see, if you notice, the word prevent is in different font, and there's a reason for that. I was thinking that you might not be familiar with that term. What is prevent? What is she talking about? Well, I'm not going to tell you the term that science workbook has for you in the next lesson because I don't want to spoil that for you. But I do want to tell you what prevent means to us as a Christians. As Christians, God, as you know, He wants us to help other people. And He doesn't want people to get into trouble. And he tells us how to do it, how we can help other people. He tells us to share his word with everyone because he knows that, and we know too, that his word is the truth. It's what it's right to do. So if we do that, we will prevent them from many troubles. We will save them from troubles. And this will also help them to have a long life. They'll be able to enjoy a long life on the earth, and they will have an eternal life with God. So, this is how we as Christians can prevent things from happening. So, that is my explanation of the term prevent. And later on in the next lesson, in the next mini chapter, I guess, you will learn about the real definition that science has for you. All right. So I think we're ready to go and go to page 52. What do you guys think? On page 52, you have a picture that I want you to all look at. I also have it on my screen. So go to page 52, and as you can see, there's this picture that you might be asking, what is that? I see rows of something placed on the floor, on the ground, on the landscape. It's in between two slopes, right? Between two hills. You might be even wondering, what is that made of? What is the material that they use to make that? Why there's so many sticks everywhere? So all these questions might be going through your mind, and I understand that. And I will try to explain some of those questions to you, okay? So what you see on this picture is, it's called a straw wattle, okay? Straw wattle is a cylinder that is made out of a straw. And if you don't know what a straw is, well, I'm gonna show you a picture of that. Let's go to the straw wattles. These are the straw wattles that, just a better picture of those wattles that you saw on the other page. This is how they make them. They roll them into this, and then they stretch them out and place them on the landscape that they want to prevent erosion. You see? So we already have one of the ways that we will be learning about how people can prevent erosion, and that is by using straw wattles. Um, as you can see, there's this stick that you also saw on your picture on page 52. These sticks were used to place them and pin them to the landscape. So if water comes, or a wind, strong wind, those straw wattles will not be taken away, will not move from the spot where they place them. So they kind of pin them. They attach them to the landscape with these sticks. And what is a straw? Straw is a dry stalk, right, of a plant such as oat, rice, or wheat. Once the grain falls off, then you just have this straw. It's a material that I'm sure that you're thinking of the properties of the material. Well, one of the properties that you would probably state is what? Smooth? Hmm, no, right? Rough. The property is rough. And another property I can think of is that what you're thinking too? Yes, water absorbent. This material absorbs water and also is very rough. And those properties are exactly what are good that help prevent erosion. Thanks to roughness, thanks to this straw being able to absorb water, we can prevent erosion. And this material, you've seen that before. Often farmers use it in stables where horses live as a bedding. And in agriculture, we see this a lot. So that is a straw wattle, or straw wattles used to prevent erosion. Now, if we go on to this next slide, you're going to learn about another structure that you'll be like, what is this? Asking yourself, what is this and why we use this in the ocean? Well, this amazing structure that God helped us to design, create, He gave us that wisdom, is called breakwater. Breakwater is another structure. You can see it in action. See the waves, you see the motion of the waves, how they crash onto it. See, and the function of this breakwater is to slow down the the force of the ocean. Okay, so it just stays on top of the water, floating, and it does its job, does its magic. And so now that we watched and observed both of these phenomenons, right? Why don't we go ahead and write about it? What do you think that you learned about these two amazing structures, or amazing phenomenons? What would you say? What would you drive? What would you write in your workbook? It says, how do you think these materials are used? Um, you can draw or write about your thoughts. So I'm going to give you a second, but if you also want to stop this video, you can do that. You just click on pause and then write what you think. How are these materials being used? I already gave you enough information to be able to, come up to some sentence. So, but if you can't think of anything and you still need help, I'm going to show you the what you could write. So you could write, for example, I think the straw wattles are used to stop dirt from sliding down the hill. I think the breakwater is used to block water from crashing onto a beach. You could write that, or you could also say the straw wattles add roughness and slow water flow by absorbing the water. So the roughness of the straw wattle, we know that is what slows the water flow, because it also absorbs it. Okay, so you could also write that in your workbook. Here, I want to also share with you another picture of the breakwater, because to build this structure, we don't only use this material, but we also use different natural resources that God gave us, and we use them to make something new. As you know from social studies, I'm making connections. So you can see people create them also and build them out of rocks, which is another great natural resource. And here you can see they made it out of a wood. So the different materials that we can use to make this breakwater. Here you can see how it is protecting the vessels, right? People build it right here, or out of wood, or here they just simply place different blocks of rocks to prevent this area right here, because I'm sure the ocean is crashing and strong, and the force of it is very damaging. So if we wouldn't place these breakwater structures, it would cause a lot of damage to the building behind it, and that's what we want to prevent. So this is what we learned about today. We will also close this lesson with reading in your workbook. Did you know? It's asking us to read. Did you know that the word wattle is related to the Old High German word waddal, which means bandage? So you see, it's like a bandage that we use to apply on a landscape. I love that connection, right? Love that translation, because it really is a bandage when you think about it, that we apply on a landscape to prevent, to treat, right, or to slow down the erosion. So I love that uh, term, how it's being explained to us. So again, just a quick review. What we learned today about are two awesome structures that can slow down erosion. One is called straw wattles, and the other one is called breakwater. Excellent. So these two structures, one we can place on between two slopes, uh, placed in rows, and they prevent the dirt sliding down, the soil sliding down and moving to different place. And they do that by absorbing the water, right? And because of the roughness, the water is not flowing as fast. And that's what we want to create, slow flow, so it doesn't take away the dirt, because that's not good for crops, that's not good for land, right? I don't think farmers like that. So this is a great way to prevent it. And breakwaters are structures that we use to slow down the force, to stop the force of the ocean wave to crash onto the beaches. And so we can also prevent erosion from happening. So, and what the word prevent means, I told you, you will find out in the next lesson. So, I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you found it interesting. And I will see you next time. God bless you all.